On the next day, me and Dad went to the Temple of Heaven. This is kind of just walking around the outside of it. Temple of Heaven's a really interesting place because while the Forbidden City, the Summer Palace, were kind of like the residency of the Emperor, the Temple of Heaven was solely that, a temple. So it was interesting to see the more cultural, the honorific artifacts, rather than say in the Summer Palace you have like the place for walking inside, the place for relaxing and sleeping. It was interesting to see the different side of the culture and the rituals which have been built up around this place. Wandering around with Dad, I saw one of my favourite China sites, which is the groups of old people playing either mahjong or Chinese chess together. Neither of which I have any idea how to play, but I don't know, it always looks good fun. You always see big groups of people, normally chain-smoking cigarettes playing this, just sitting on street corners. And yeah, the numbers in this park were impressive. It made this kind of like sense of community there feel interesting, because it was this big place with such like ritualistic meaning, and yet also like here were just a lot of guys like on the weekends just playing games. It was quite nice. It made the place feel oddly personal for somewhere quite so massive. Dad and I had a wander around. We weren't really doing much of the touristy things and didn't really go in anywhere, but rather kind of just poked our noses. And then, as one does in any good National Trust, spent a lot of time walking through the gardens. The line of people playing went on as we walked towards the monument thing in the centre. We found another long corridor. I'm always a fan of a long corridor, so we walked the whole way through the long corridor. This time I was without the audio guide that I had at the Summer Palace, so I feel that most of this was wasted on me. But, you know, it was a corridor and it was long, so it did tick my those boxes. I like the ever-present existence of English audio guides. They certainly made these things a lot easier for me. I found them in so many tourist attractions, and due to the lack of plaques in English, it meant that I knew what was going on sometimes.
Well, I think we found it. I suspect it might be.
The it in question was a large arts market, which we spent our afternoon in. The market itself was absolutely massive. It contained a really interesting mix of stuff. It kind of had a lot of jewellery, pots. Essentially, like, the Lonely Planet describes it as an arts and crafts market. And I mean, yeah, like, it probably was that in the regards that it had paintbrushes and stuff. It also just generally had a lot of, like, bric-a-brac, or perhaps clutter, would be what my mum would call it. And it was just kind of full of things. There was a book section, but most of the books were in Chinese, apart from the Harry Potter series, which I always seem to finding in English everywhere, which does always make me happy. And yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting because there was so much stuff that I kind of just didn't care for. Like these hundreds of these red bracelets. Like, these red bracelets clearly had some sort of meaning, but I have no idea what. And of course, it was oddly homely in some regards. We went to a bar called Jing'e, which is essentially like a little bit of Jesmond or possibly Hampstead in the middle of Beijing. It's a really nice place. We ended up chatting to some friendly people. Some journalist was telling me about journalism in Beijing and her equivalent of an agony aunt column. It was interesting. What you're seeing is the side of one of the hotels, right next to my language school. The building to the right with the kind of like a curved thing on the roof is my language. Well, my language school is in there. It was interesting to see how Beijing was becoming Christmassy. It's weird because I was told that almost no one very few Chinese people celebrate Christmas, but there were still decorations everywhere. It's glad to see that the world over people still do just like an opportunity to celebrate, and the lights they were put on this skyscraper was perhaps one of my favourite signs of that. It was impressive wandering around and seeing how they lit it up at night. Then after this, we went out for dinner.
Oh, I'm getting a video. There's Dad. Hello. Ooh, even as a sign this is Merry Christmas. Must be China.
You can see the Beijing duck being prepared in a ritualistic style in front of us. It was the perfect end to a perfect day.
Thank you, sir. Very welcome.
太谢谢你了。
Enjoyed a rest we would need for the Great Wall tomorrow.
It's also tasteful as well.
What do you mean? What do you mean like the quaint lights?
Yeah, it's just nice. As opposed to stuff you get elsewhere in the UK. It's like, really? Not elsewhere in the UK, in the UK.
I tried to explain to Ivy what the word whimsy meant. Because she was asking why we were just having a big meeting and I'd locked the door before Carol could get in the room.
Why?
Just whimsy.